Let's bring in former federal prosecutor Katie Cherkasky. Katie, good morning to you. So 2 details I want to highlight here. The first is what Brooke was just mentioning about the father admitting to investigators that he bought his son the gun as a Christmas present last year, which means he bought the gun for his son after sitting down with law enforcement and them telling him that his son had made school shooting threats. And the other thing that's come up is that the shooter's aunt told the Washington Post that he had been, quote, begging the adults around him for mental health support in recent months. Still, these are the most serious charges a parent of a school shooting suspect has ever faced. So what do you think about all of this?
Well, this case is in many ways eerily reminiscent of the Crumbley case. And you'll see in these cases where parents are charged that there has to be some sort of evidence that the parents were aware that their child had some sort of issues on the mental health side of things and or had exhibited violent tendencies. In this case, it seems that prosecutors have both of those pieces of evidence here. And obviously, we haven't seen the entire investigation, but just from the preliminary information that's out there, that the parents, particularly his father that provided him with the weapon, was aware of this child's potentially violent tendencies, and that's going to be what the prosecution needs to prove these types of charges.
Yeah, I mean, this absolutely seems like textbook vicarious liability, but these are different states. Georgia law is not Michigan law, where the Crumbley case was. If you are prosecuting this case, Katie, how do you tie the Crumbley case to this case in light of the fact that the laws are different?
Well, in Georgia, as we've seen here, the parents are charged with, or at least the father has been charged with what they consider a second-degree murder statute, which is actually unique in the state of Georgia, and it deals with criminal negligence that leads to the death of children. So that does carry a higher sentence than an involuntary manslaughter charge. And typically, the prosecutors are going to have to prove that the parents kind of knowingly ignored very obvious signs of issues with their child on the violent side of things, mental health side of things, and certainly providing a firearm to somebody that they knew or very well should have known would engage in something like this. So from what we know, they do seem to have lined up a lot of that information even this early on in the investigation. So it seems like it's pretty straightforward here as well.
Okay, so we also want to ask you about the surprise guilty plea by Hunter Biden yesterday on all 9 counts in his federal tax case. So his lawyer originally proposed this deal that Hunter would maintain his innocence while acknowledging there's enough evidence to find him guilty. That didn't fly, so the guilty pleas came down. Hunter said in a statement, "I will not subject my family to more pain, more invasions of privacy, and needless embarrassment. For all I have put them through over the years, I can spare them this." So what do you think about this? Why he came to this guilty plea, and what happens next?
Well, I think that Hunter knew that he was essentially dead to rights. The prosecution had a very strong case. And the fact of the matter is that when somebody enters into a guilty plea at the 11th hour, the prosecution is not very motivated to engage in negotiations. They were prepared for trial. They felt that they had a strong case. So he went ahead and pled guilty without any sort of protections on his sentence. Now, he'll be able to argue to the judge that he should get some sort of leniency for taking responsibility. But he also has this prior conviction from the gun trial that will be used against him in aggravation in sentencing. So I think it was an obvious decision. I don't think he had a strong chance of acquittal. So this was likely in the interest of the family for sure, but anyone's guess why it took this long.
Yeah, I think beyond that, Katie, this is, to me, a lot less about the law and a lot more about the calendar, because by deciding to plea now, he sets up a sentencing in December, which could not be more perfect for Joe Biden and for Hunter, because it's after the election. So no iota, scintilla of election interference, because 1, he's not running, and 2, it's after the election. But 2, it gives you a month to pardon him. And I know the White House said there's not going to be a pardon. Yesterday, they said there's not even going to be a commutation of the sentence. But you're a parent. You understand how the love of a child overrides everything. He's clearly going to be pardoned here, isn't he, Katie?
It's hard for me to imagine that he won't be unless his sentence is extremely light. I would imagine that Joe Biden has nothing to lose here by pardoning him. Obviously, he has refused to acknowledge that he might do that, and he's denied that that's going to happen. But certainly, Hunter faces a significant amount of jail time, and I think that the Biden family has made it clear that they feel that Hunter was addicted to drugs and that he bears very little responsibility for all this. And again, we have to remember, this wasn't just a tax evasion case. It was a fraud case. So certainly, I think it's pretty aggravated, and the judge could be upset by the fact that he's not a first-time offender and give him a more significant sentence. And in that case, I think Joe Biden would be more motivated to at least commute his sentence. But so far, he's denied that.
Yeah, well, he will be sentenced in his gun case on November 13th, and the sentencing for these tax charges, like Todd said, will come down in December, a month before his dad leaves office. Very good timing for him there. We shall
Katie,
see.
I'm just excited we didn't have to go into excruciating detail on an offered plea. I really didn't want to do that here this morning. And good news, thanks to the way they pled that thing, we don't have to. Katie Cherkasky, thank you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.